Hey, everybody, and welcome to Yuki Storytime, the podcast talking about my journey outside of content creation, YouTube, and gaming. Today's story is all about July of 2023. What was supposed to be a vacation turned out to be a very interesting blessing in disguise. But what what does what does what does BR Productions have to do with it, and what does Yuki Creations have to do with it? Let's get started from the beginning. July 2023, July 3rd to be exact. We were supposed to go on vacation, you see. So I woke up early, I normally would, at 4 a.m., and we were supposed to board a flight from LA to Toronto. But there was a few caveats. Our cab driver who was supposed to take us to the airport was late. I don't know how you sleep in so late that you are late to your first appointment potentially. But the cab driver was late, so my parents had to call a backup driver. We didn't get to the airport until at least 5 o'clock, 5:30. Our flight to Toronto was at around 7:30. So I decided to look on Twitter or Facebook, and I find out that the Activision case, at the time, of course, was still starting up. The Activision versus with Activision Blizzard, with Microsoft merging. At the time, they were not merged yet. So I decided to share it and said, "We'll see you after the break," meaning the vacation break, because I was not supposed to start giving news until later on. So we board this plane to Toronto. On that flight, I got to watch The Last of Us, Part 1, Season 1. Part 2 obviously delayed because of the current strike that's going on with Hollywood. So they couldn't do anything. At the time, the strike was not happening yet in July. But so this flight lands in Toronto 5 hours later in terms of flight time, 5 hours. So we arrived there around 3 o'clock local, which is going to be around noontime, Los Angeles. Okay, like a normal plane trip so far, but keep in mind that we had a 7 or 5 hour layover in Toronto. So the connection was Los Angeles to Toronto, Toronto to Barcelona. So we waited for 5 hours, we did our little stuff, and then it was time to go. Or was it time to go? They changed the gate where they depart to Barcelona. Not a problem, no problem yet. Then it was time for boarding. Okay, they check passports, they do this and that, yada 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 yada, and then they get to my passport. Guess what happens? Last second, plane canceled, flight canceled, flight was canceled last moment. Oh boy, no vacation for us. At least no second part, which was Barcelona, and then we were supposed to go to Lisbon. Okay, so now what? So I had to look up a hotel in Toronto for the night. That part was easy. Getting our bags was harder. So what happened? Keep in mind, this is July 3rd, not July 4th. Except there's a big important detail I did not mention yet. I'll explain that in a moment. So we get we we go to customer service because obviously this flight ain't taking off for the night because it was canceled. We went to customer service number one upstairs. Oh goodness. It took an hour. It took an hour. Guess what they said? Go downstairs to customer service number two for baggage claim. Oh goodness. This is where the story gets worse. And little did I know it was a blessing in disguise. And we'll talk about that later. So we go to customer service number two downstairs with baggage claim. And then, oh my goodness, the line. Oh my goodness, the line. You want to know how long the line is? Think of amusement park ride for like Toy Story. Multiply that by four. That's how long the line for baggage claim was. Little did I know then, it's Canada Day on July 3rd. So basically, Canada Day is their Independence Day in Canada, just like what we have in the United States. For Canada, it's July 3rd. For the US, it's July 4th. So it was Canada Day. So basically, their their 4th of July is July 3rd. Our 4th of July is July 4th. Day of Independence. Okay? I believe Canada was also conquered by French, and I know a bit of British. The French part of Canada is actually just a little bit more east, and that is Quebec. Quebec and Montreal are French parts of Canada, so they have a little bit of French influence the further east Canada you go. So it was Canada Day, and a lot of flights were canceled. Believe it or not, there was another content creator, Tim the Tatman, who was stuck in Atlanta. Also canceled flights too, interestingly enough. So, how long did we wait? Until midnight Toronto time, which is 9 p.m. Los Angeles time. Oh goodness. Another 7 hours of waiting, and I did not eat dinner until like midnight Toronto time, or 1 a.m. Toronto, or 10 p.m. LA. We finally got to hotel at like 1:30 Toronto time morning, 10:30 our time LA. Oh, I was throwing up too. You can tell. You can tell this story got worse. Little did I know a blessing was coming. So we slept in for the night, and then we decided, you know what? Let's go out, explore Toronto for what it is. We decided to go to the mall. Hey, it's not a bad mall. It's actually pretty cool. Pretty good mall, by the way. This mall, I believe, in Toronto had Purdy's. So Purdy's, if you are not aware, is the huge chocolatier in Canada. My goodness, their chocolate in Canada, S tier, automatic S tier, the best chocolate you can buy if you're in Canada. Purdy's, you gotta try it if you're in Canada, and I am not kidding. They have different varieties of Purdy's, and they have like candies in there. I will tell you the only reason why I know about this Purdy's thing is because my aunt in Vancouver, also in Canada, actually sends us Purdy's on my birthday. Sometime, most of the time, or some type of chocolate or cookie. This so happens we're in Purdy's land, okay, and we buy the chocolate for our aunts and uncles here in LA, okay. But what does Yuki Productions have to do with this? because I've been leaving that part of the story out. Keep in mind, I was not supposed to go home until like after going to Lisbon. Okay, so we went home about 14 days early, in a sense. So the following day, we head back home to LA. I got to watch the rest of The Last of Us. And then we land home in LA. Okay, vacation's kind of over in a way. We do head to Vegas, but I don't count that just because it's Vegas. It is a vacation, but I don't count it. Sorry. But that's when I started to learn a new skill, VRChat world development. This is why you have four worlds made by me today. Created five worlds actually. If you count the test world, then yeah, five worlds I made today. Yuki Creations was born out of a canceled trip to Barcelona. Okay, I I kid you not. I started learning how to develop VR chat worlds after a canceled trip to Barcelona, and look at where we are now. Yuki Creations was born out of something that didn't that did not happen, and look at where we are now. 5 worlds in, and I'm so happy that I learned how to use Unity, and this is all because of a canceled vacation. What would have happened if that vacation actually went through and that plane was not canceled? We would not have Yuki Creations today. Maybe not like early, maybe way later into 2024. And now we're looking where we are. We are just a few days away from my birthday as of this recording. Yuki Creations is going to have a Patreon soon, and a lot of things are new. New stuff, new activities. And that was all because of a canceled trip to Barcelona. And that was the blessing in disguise. At the time, I'm waiting in the airport. I didn't know it yet, but this was probably not not meant to be. Barcelona in July was probably not meant to be. Remember the red flags. Cab driver was late. We didn't arrive until like 5:30 a.m. The layover was 7 hours. The baggage claim people are like, I got no idea what they're doing. Their bags didn't arrive until like 12 a.m. We didn't arrive to the hotel until like 1:30. 5 red flags happened on one day. And then the blessing. Yuki Creations was born out of that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you the moral of this story. A canceled vacation sucks, and it's it's hard to it's hard to admit. A canceled vacation sucks, and we've been there. You want to see Barcelona, you want to see Messi, you want to see Ronaldo in some cases. You want to go to Madrid, or in this case, Lisbon. You want to go to experience Europe, but that's going to be there. What would have happened if I never started making VR chat worlds? I wouldn't be making VR chat worlds today, to be honest. So let this be a lesson. A canceled vacation sometimes can lead to a new skill. Never ever stop learning new skills, ladies and gentlemen. What if I never started Unity? I would have made Moonlight House 1. Let alone Moonlight House 2.0. That is how crazy this story got. A canceled trip was the birth of Yuki Creations. And that is today's Yuki story time. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you guys like this type of video. It is our new podcast, Yuki Story Time, where I tell you about stories about myself outside of content creation, gaming, and YouTube. Some stories will lead back to YouTube, but for the most part, it's about me outside of it. And next story is a tough one. My grandmother passed away last year, 2022, and I gotta share this story because I think it would be a fitting to share this. And it's about me and my grandmother traveling together, interestingly enough. That would be our next Yuki story time, the grandmother story. And that is the next Yuki story time. Enjoy, live life to the fullest, and don't forget a cancer vacation can be a blessing in disguise.